After an impressive qualifying result in securing pole position, Lewis Hamilton's start in the Hungarian Grand Prix turned out to be disastrous. As the lights went off, he dropped 3 places at turn 1 and was overtaken by Perez during the race. While he praised the McLaren car, he didn't have the same admiration for the Mercedes, even though he apologized to the team. After the excitement of claiming pole position in Hungary, Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes faced a disappointing race day. Despite his strong qualifying performance, Hamilton was unable to secure a record-breaking 9th Hungarian GP win. No driver has achieved such a feat at a single F1 venue, and unfortunately that remained the case as Hamilton's race day at the Hungaroring didn't go as planned. Starting alongside Verstappen and ahead of Norris and Piastri, Hamilton experienced a tough start, falling behind the trio on the first lap. Verstappen took the lead comfortably, and the McLaren drivers also created a gap between themselves and Hamilton. As the gap to Piastri grew to 9 seconds, Hamilton expressed his frustration over the Mercedes team radio, wondering how McLaren managed to gain such a significant advantage all of a sudden. He found it surprising and remarked that it was a considerable difference. By lap 29, Hamilton's deficit to Piastri had reached 10 seconds, and he wanted to understand why he was losing so much time compared to the McLarens. Hamilton asked, "Why am I losing all the time? Is the car slow?" His engineer, Peter Bonington, responded, "A lot of it is in the straight lines, then in turns 11 and 14. Hamilton even questioned if Mercedes had turned down the engines. Bonington clarified, "No, we're making adjustments to improve the temperature situation." Things got worse for Hamilton as he dropped to P5 after being undercut by Sergio Perez from Red Bull, who was making his way back to the podium positions. However, Hamilton's race ended on a positive note as he managed to overtake Piastri and return to P4. The W14's late surge in pace also brought him closer to Perez. In the end, Hamilton ran out of laps to attempt a pass on Perez, and he settled for P4 as his finishing position. Despite showing promise on Saturday, the W14's performance in the race revealed that Mercedes still lags behind in terms of race pace compared to Red Bull and McLaren, who seemed to have an advantage. Hamilton acknowledged, "The car isn't much quicker. It was faster this weekend, but we're not sure why." He explained that the car has a larger wing compared to Red Bull's, but Red Bull seems to have more downforce from their floor. Hamilton expressed that there's a lot of work to be done, and he keeps stressing to the team the direction they need to go. He hopes to see improvements either later this year or at least in next year's car. Hamilton mentioned that his car's improved balance during the race allowed him to gain pace and put pressure on Sergio Perez in the final stages. However, he admitted that even with a better start, third place might have been possible, but he was content with finishing 4th. In the early stages, the car's balance wasn't good, and it felt slow, affecting their performance. But as the race progressed, the balance improved significantly and Hamilton could push harder. Unfortunately, the improvement came too late and he couldn't catch up to higher positions. Despite the contrasting performance between Saturday and Sunday, Hamilton remains optimistic about his and the team's prospects. He admitted that they don't have the fastest car, but he was proud of his pole position achievement and outperforming other faster cars. He acknowledged the reality of their current pace and strategy being slower than the Red Bulls, and even though they hoped to challenge the McLarens, they were also too quick for them. Hamilton isn't feeling disappointed. Instead, he's focused on acknowledging the current situation and working to improve the future races. Lewis Hamilton also openly admits that he hasn't been performing at his best in Formula One for more than a year. Despite his surprise pole position at the Hungarian Grand Prix, he couldn't secure a win and finished 4th. He takes pride in his pole position and performance, but he faces the reality that they need to improve to compete with the faster cars. Despite some encouraging moments during the race, Hamilton recognizes that they are not quick enough to challenge the top contenders. Hamilton feels that a better start could have secured a third-place finish, but he accepts the 4th-place result given the circumstances. He acknowledges Verstappen's better start and a bit of wheel spin that affected his race. According to Wolff, Mercedes had the second fastest car during the race. He believes they could have performed better if they had capitalized on their car's potential. However, he acknowledged that Red Bull, especially Verstappen, was still far ahead in terms of lap times and performance. The start of the race played a role in their results, and they may have been too cautious with their tyre strategy. George's starting position was a setback, and they were too cautious with Lewis's tyre management. In other words, Mercedes made mistakes. Toto and George agreed that Mercedes was the second fastest, especially with low fuel, when the car performed exceptionally well, just like in Q3. However, they acknowledged that Red Bull is still way ahead. Despite that, Mercedes is considered the second best overall. They also praised Lando and Piastri for their impressive performances with the improved McLaren. P6 was beyond expectations, he said to Sky Sports F1's Rachel Brooks. I think strategists were quoting P11 before the race and P7 if we maximized everything. Here we are, P6, ahead of both Ferraris who started 12 positions ahead of us. It's disappointing because I believe that we could have been right up there with Lewis yesterday, and as a team, if you've got two cars in the front two rows, the dynamic changes totally. Lando's done a really great job. I've been really impressed with Oscar this year. He hasn't really put a foot wrong all season. I think we've got enough legs on them so far to hold them off until the rest of the season. I'd say we're maybe equal second with McLaren, Russell concluded. Hamilton still hasn't signed a contract yet with Mercedes, and when they secured pole position, everyone was assured that he would sign the contract. Toto Wolff has confirmed that Lewis Hamilton's new contract is practically settled, even though it hasn't been officially signed yet. Hamilton's current deal with Mercedes is set to end after the season, leading to ongoing speculation about his future with the team he joined from McLaren in 2013. While there were rumors about a possible move to Ferrari in May, Hamilton has consistently expressed his desire to stay with Mercedes. However, the formal announcement of the new contract is still pending. Christian Horner responded to Lewis Hamilton's remarks about Red Bull's budget cap penalty by saying that it's easy for Hamilton to criticize when he's not performing well himself. As Formula One awaits the result of the FIA's audit into the team's 2022 spending, there have been reports that up to 3 teams may have exceeded the budget cap, although the FIA denies this. Hamilton expressed his lack of surprise, stating that there wasn't a significant punishment last time, so there's no real deterrent for teams to comply. He believes that some teams may try to push the boundaries again, knowing that they will likely only receive a minor penalty. Horner's retort suggests that Hamilton's comments may be viewed as an attempt to deflect attention from his own team's performance issues. The debate over the budget cap continues to be a topic of discussion within the world of Formula One. Lewis Hamilton referred to Red Bull's penalty for breaking financial regulations in 2021, resulting in a $7 million fine and a reduction in the aerodynamic testing restriction allocation. However, the penalty did not seem to impact Red Bull's performance, as they've dominated the season with 10 wins, 9 pole positions, and a significant lead in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull introduced their second major upgrade package in Hungary, enhancing various aspects of their car. Both Hamilton and his teammate George Russell criticized the leniency of the previous penalties, suggesting that stricter consequences should be imposed for repeated offenses. In response, Red Bull's team boss Christian Horner defended his team, emphasizing the challenges they faced due to the limited wind tunnel time compared to their competitors. He dismissed the criticism from the Mercedes drivers as sour grapes, stating that such remarks are common in Formula One. Horner expressed immense pride in his team's performance despite the constraints they faced, highlighting their outstanding achievements this year, including 11 consecutive victories. Red Bull broke McLaren's 1988 record for the most consecutive wins in Hungary this weekend, following Max Verstappen's perfect 10 wins in the previous race at the British Grand Prix. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.